Hey there cats, good time of the day to you and thank you for tuning into my channel. Today I'm going to play through a small game named Sturmfront: The Mutant War, and this time I'm going to play it on hard. And what can I say, this is an amazing little game made basically by one man with two more people on the soundtrack and one more guy on the artwork. And boy, it is amazing because it's like reeks of the original 1980s Warhammer 40k. Boy, I love the original Warhammer 40k. I mean, nothing is quite comparable to it. I have the very first codex and it is lots of fun. I just enjoy reading it over and over and over. I mean, this is something special about 80s Warhammer 80k. Oh, 40k, sorry. But anyway, I do not know if fans of modern Warhammer 40k will agree with me, but I don't know, something is just a little bit too dumb about it. The way Games Workshop runs things, it's kind of weird, you know. I mean, from one point of view it is understandable, they just want to make more money and nothing else, but at the same time there are some things that are unrelated to money. The way they handle the stories, the way they handle the lore, it just looks like they add more empty pathos for the sake of more empty pathos. It just looks unreasonable, and it is okay for the Warhammer to be unreasonable to a point, but in my opinion Games Workshop done pretty much nothing reasonable and nothing good after about the 5th codex or so. I've actually got into Warhammer 40k with a Dawn of War series of games, but I quickly dug into the codexes and quickly discovered the very first codex. And I feel like, yeah, Warhammer could use some of that gothic themes that were added after the 80s, some of the knightly themes rather than heavy metal themes that prevailed the very first codex. But, you know, they could have done it much smarter, and instead the Warhammer 40k universe, it pretty much it lives on the fact that every fanfiction is kinda canon, so every Space Marine chapter, every Imperial Guard regiment the fans create for themselves, they are less or more canon. That's the way Warhammer 40k works. It's kinda no canon at all and everything is canon at the same time. So I think it is safe to say that the fan base is what keeps it going, because what Games Workshop do is just stupid, man. I mean, I was especially like put off with the latest development. I mean, yeah, they finally moved the story forward, like it took them about 20 years, but they finally did it, alright, but the whole story and the Primaris Marines as a thing just, you know, disgusts me. Like, some tech marine waited for 10,000 years to do it? Oh, well, alright, don't get me started, but Primaris Marines, really, it's like those memes with Exhibit, where he, you know, so this time they've put Space Marines in our Space Marines, so we can run Space Marines while we run Space Marines. Oh man, this is just dumb. I just hate it. So I think it's fan base. It's fan base that makes Warhammer wonderful. I mean, yeah, the fan base is particularly violent and prone to go for holy wars, but this is kind of what I like. This is my kind of fan base. It's aggressive, it's brutal. I love this stuff. So yeah, it's just like the setting. But what's kinda even more mind-boggling is the fact that Games Workshop seems to hate its own fan base. And the moment some part of fan canon becomes way too popular, it moves on to ban it for whatever reason. I just don't get it. I just don't get why they do it every darn time. There was that amazing movie, I probably will mistake its name right now because I don't quite remember, but I believe the movie was named Damnatus, and it is an amazing completely fan-made movie which was banned after it was pretty much finished. Luckily, the movie still got released unofficially, but we can watch it. It is in the internet. Go find it if you haven't, because fuck Games Workshop, that movie is awesome. And for some reason, even though it is the universe where everything that fans made are canon, and without that little nuance, the whole universe kinda collapses under the amount of dumb decisions from the official devs. Even though it works like this, pretty much for years at this point, Games Workshop still aims to make it as uncomfortable as possible for fanbase to run their own stuff. It is just weird, don't you find it? I mean, man, it is really darn weird. Because, man, the way Games Workshop treats its own fanbase, which keeps the whole thing going, is just criminal. I mean, I can't really say there are a whole lot of universes like Warhammer 40k at this point, so yeah, I kind of feel like fanbase is kind of trapped. Warhammer 40k is somewhat unique in how everything in there is dark, bloody and evil, and I can understand why fans opposed the inclusion of Tau as force of good back in the days, because it would make Warhammer just like everything else. And really, what can stand up to Warhammer? Probably nothing. The only thing that comes to my mind, which is pretty much a Warhammer clone but with reason instead of pathos, is Mutant Chronicles. But I'm not even sure how they're doing right now. The original Mutant Chronicles came out back in the 90s, and it got rebooted like in 2010 somewhere, I believe. And I just hope that Mutant Chronicles haven't collapsed again by now, because the reboot was promising. I read some codexes and I really hope to see more from Mutant Chronicles. I really think Mutant Chronicles could overtake Warhammer, but, you know, something went wrong somewhere and it didn't happen, so Warhammer is pretty much the only one nowadays. The only thing that is bloody, relentless and merciless. There are few universes like that one. Even though I feel like Warhammer could actually use a bit more reason and show a bit less grim dark sides of it, because that's another problem with Games Workshop. What Games Workshop says is the fact that Imperium is like thousands and thousands of planets. There are pretty much heavens in material world somewhere in the Imperial space. Perhaps only for the wealthiest ones, but whatever. There are good planets somewhere out there. We've never seen them. In fact, we've never seen pretty much anything aside from war in the Warhammer, and that's another thing which kind of bothers me. We could learn more about everyday's life of the average Imperial citizen. Like, there was a small part in Dan Abnett's Titanicus which described it pretty much briefly, yet still kinda efficiently, and I believe Games Workshop finally started something like a detective series of books named, or at least set on Necromunda. I'm not sure how they are named, but you know, modern Games Workshop, they'll probably do it wrong once again. And yeah, what can I say? all in all, it's definitely not enough background in Warhammer, and perhaps once they will start show this background, Warhammer will become a lot less grim-dark, because it is pretty much impossible to show all the universe, all the Imperial space as totally hopeless. It just won't work, I suppose. At least it won't work in my mind, or it will make Warhammer even dumber than it is right now. Oh, but all in all, I feel like Warhammer could use a tribute or at least some kind of retcon, which is kinda impossible, since in Warhammer everything is canon and everything is not at the same time, so you just choose what you like. But there's still kind of a word of God, you know? What Games Workshop says is primary canon after all, and what Games Workshop says nowadays is just stupid, you know? I'm also still puzzled about why they've made Necrons some Egyptian-themed cyber robots, whatever. They were much more efficient as totally nameless, unknown Terminators. I mean, something that no one really knows what to do about, and no one really knows what they are. They added some kind of mystery in the universe, and it felt right, at least to me. Last time I've read something about the discussions if they should have done it with Necrons on Warhammer forums, I believe the opinions were divided pretty much 50-50, which I think is a pity, because I've hoped more people will support original nameless horror kind of Necrons. I like them that way a lot more. And well, as I've said, in general, there's pretty much nothing good. Not even a single good decision after the 5th Codex in Warhammer universe, or at least I feel this way. Maybe I'm wrong, alright, yeah, but there are tastes, and the point is Warhammer nowadays is definitely not what Warhammer was in 5th Codex, and twice not what was in the very first Codex. And here comes the Stormfront! It is pretty much Warhammer if Warhammer ever made games using their first codexes, because it is heavy metal, mutants, guts, green teeth, and all that stuff all combined right here. You know, those old space marines who wrote some words like "born to die" on their armor, or "pray for death" or something like that. They wrote it on their armor like some kind of commandos. You cannot see the thing nowadays. And yeah, this is amazing. I mean, this is something I wanted to see for a very long time. And obviously Games Workshop won't do it nowadays, even though they could. You know, once again, the thing is, in Warhammer universe, Imperium is pretty much endless, so to say. It is a whole galaxy controlled by humans. They could add a lot of crazy stuff into it. They just should go ahead and change something. I mean, what they've done now, it can be called in change, but it's not radical change. It's just, it's a very, how to put it? Let's say it's a very comfortable change, a very accurate change. The changes they made, I don't know how to say it. I guess it comes from the fact that the changes they made are in line with their previous decisions, and they are in line with the fact that they need to make money and sell new miniatures to the old fan base, which they seem to detest, but at the same time, I guess they are ultimately kinda cannot see them supporting even more radical changes. I'm not sure. It's very weird. It's like they do changes they do right now, and they see that the fan base does not support those changes. And so they think, right, if they do not support this stuff, we cannot go with more extreme stuff. And I guess it is a logical decision from the point of market, but at the same time I feel it's the more extreme changes that the fan base actually needs. And it is also should be noted that said changes should go to the right places. Like, you definitely shouldn't have to change Necrons at all. There are things that work good, and there are things that do not work at all in current Warhammer. But yeah, I guess Games Workshop just doesn't want to understand this. Probably they just doesn't even try. I mean, as long as they made money, it's okay for them, so they do not really need any more changes. Well, at least there are a lot of fan-made works, and there are a lot of other companies that made miniatures. Pretty much there's a lot of stuff which can be made with Warhammer and like without Games Workshop. However much they try to ban it, once again I think this is what keeps the universe going. Oh well, so what can I say? What can I say? Personally for me, I think Warhammer could use several planets and several Codex Space Marine chapters pretty much resurrected from their 80s metal times, back from the day when they've started music label and stuff, you know. That was very different back in the 80s. That was completely different kind of Games Workshop, and they could revert back to these days. They could risk it. I believe they have the money to do it. They just do not want to try it. It's pretty much a problem with all modern capitalism. The modern companies just aim to maximize the profit with minimal risks. So nobody risks it except small-time developers, small-time companies. That's why I always struggle to support them. The other guys, they just don't want to do it, do not even try to do it. This is that's a shame. We could do a lot of awesome stuff, but yes, we have to risk it. Sometimes you have to risk it. And nobody wants to risk it. Yeah. Ain't that a shame? Well, returning to the topic of Warhammer, I just can't put it aside that I guess, from my point of view, one of the most dumb decisions in Warhammer that probably foreshadowed the amount of stupid stuff that will happen in the future is the way Magnus betrayed the Emperor. Yeah, I guess I'm one of those guys, but really, so Magnus, the almighty Primarch, alright, we understand that Primarchs are kinda like humans. They are supposed to be like great and unshakable monoliths of human beings, demigods, but as Horus demonstrated, they are pretty much susceptible. Alright, they're pretty much like humans when it comes to pride, envy, and all the other stuff. So Primarchs are not that much of a god in the end. Still, Primarch is a higher being. Yeah, not much as a god as they should have been originally, but still kinda great human being, and you know, they are above human after all. But the way Magnus betrays the Emperor is just idiotic thing, you know. Even for a human, short for the Primarch, it's just dumb. And thing is, if you don't know, Magnus figures out what will happen, that his planet and his Legion will be destroyed, yet he refuses to accept the chaos, and instead he disables the planetary defenses, sends away some part of his Legion, and pretty much tells no one about the upcoming assault. And subsequently, Space Wolves come and start butchering his Legion, which is kinda exactly what Magnus foreseeing. Exactly the thing that he prepared for. His Legion starts to fight back, of course, and understandable. His Legion starts to fight back. What I cannot get is why at this point Magnus actually changed his mind. He says, yeah, now I want to go for chaos. I mean, everything goes according to his plan. His Legion is butchered, his sons are killed. Yeah, horrible, but that's exactly the thing he was preparing for. This is exactly the thing he has foreseen. This is exactly the actions which were about to happen, and he knew it will happen. Yet, upon seeing it, he actually changed his mind and says, yeah, I actually do not want to die peacefully. Let's go for chaos now. When I fucked it all up and turned off my defenses, now I'll probably fight. Oh man, this is just dumb. I mean, Magnus would be much more of a character if he would stand down there to his fate without fighting back, because this is exactly what he planned to do. And I just do not take this kind of stuff. I mean, it's like, and then he changed his mind, and this just doesn't sit well with me. I can't accept this. Magnus was the wisest of the Primarchs. Magnus was the one who actually could accept it. Perhaps out of all the Primarchs out there, judging by the background, Magnus was the only Primarch who could bear the thing and accept it. Yet he didn't. Just because he changed his mind. I don't know. In my opinion, this is just the dumbest thing in Horus Heresy. Well, at least I guess so. I haven't really read any books after, I believe, the... chronologically, it should be about 20th book? I mean, Outcast Dead. Or is it only 11th? I don't know. I haven't read far into Horus Heresy, because as far as I understood, there is a lot more stupid stuff out there, and I really do not want to indulge myself into it. Warhammer only really can be an enjoyable universe if you have your own headcanon. As I've said once again, everything is canon and nothing is, and it's fan base and their own fan-created stuff which make this universe enjoyable. Yeah. Personally, what I create, I believe it is far from something that is for everyone, but I like mix Warhammer with pretty much everything else I know about. Like Mutant Chronicles, Star Wars, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of Infinity perhaps. Yeah, I like mix my Warhammer with everything else out there. It's pretty much some kind of a megaverse in my head, and I love it, but I guess nobody would ever accept it. It's okay though, I'm not like planning to make it public or something. I don't want Games Workshop to ban me either way, right? And about their last policy for fan-based creations and animations was zero tolerance, so yeah, I'm not even trying. I'm I'm barely making any kind of YouTube audience, so I do not want to lose whatever I have right now. Still, I enjoy Sturmfront a lot. It is really kind of Warhammer I wanted to play for quite a long time. And by the way, modern Warhammer games are not that bad at all. Perhaps because Games Workshop doesn't quite develop those games themselves. Instead, they develop those games to some very talented developers, and some of them are definitely Warhammer fanboys and fangirls, perhaps. I for sure can say that Strumon Studio is Warhammer fans 100%. So they make good games, despite what Warhammer Games Workshop canon says. They simply make good games, and they do it. Yeah, well, they're not flawless, but they're good. They're good, and they have the vision, their own fan vision. Once again, Strumon games are good because they contain a part of their vision as fans. For example, that's an example, yeah? So, yeah, and Sturmfront is kind of Warhammer game I wanted to play for a long time because it contains a part of that original 80s Warhammer which Games Workshop will probably not allow for anyone to develop. Perhaps Strumon one day will develop something like this, but I believe they are more interested in Gothic Warhammer, which is once again cool as well. I feel like First Codex, Heavy Metal Codex could use some Gothic themes in it, but some more Gothic themes in it, yeah. But at the same time, I definitely wanted to play a heavy metal kind of Warhammer game at least once or twice. You know, for a change. Sturmfront provides exactly this opportunity, and I just cannot miss it. It is a really small game, it will only take about an evening of yours, but it is very enjoyable, especially for the fans of Warhammer 40,000. At least I think so. It's something in it that just screams Warhammer. And aside from that, the game is just... it includes pretty much everything that's good, that was good in the games of the 90s and 80s. It includes gore, blood, guts, and like those announcer voices that says gasoline and stuff. It just rules. I really recommend Sturmfront to anyone. Even if you'll watch this video from start to end, it is still kinda different to try it yourself. Well, it is always is. So yeah, Sturmfront: The Mutant War, an awesome game. An awesome game which Games Workshop will never make. I still kinda hope that one day something like Sturmfront: The Mutant War or any other kind of Warhammer-like universe will actually take Games Workshop down and overtake it with something more reasonable, less aimed at profit and more at the enjoyment of the fans. You know, so when there will be updates to the lore, they would be reasonable, not for the sake of selling new miniatures, sacrificing any kind of logic, and probably more often as well. I mean, you definitely could update your lore much more often than once in 20 years. And when you do update it, you could do it a bit more... a bit better, let's just say better. I guess I've chose the wrong day to record this type of commentary. I haven't recorded anything coherent in a long time, so I believe I don't have enough English words in my mind to express myself properly, but I try and hope whatever stuff I've told you for the last half an hour, it was understandable and I was clear enough. Here I am, by the way, almost at the last boss already. This is second to last stage. I actually have to say something to you. This walkthrough you see right now on your screen, it is not me. It is my friend doing it. I'm not much of a bullet hell player, so I've actually walked through this game on a medium level of difficulty. And it was just alright, because when you first launch the game, the hard level of difficulty is locked, so you have to walk on medium first. So I've passed this game on medium, and my friend then passed it on hard, which suited us both just fine, because, as I've said, I'm not that much of a pro in bullet hell games. So I've had my share of trouble and challenge in medium level of difficulty, and my friend had his fun in hard level of difficulty. Just alright, I suppose. So yeah, invite a friend of yours for an evening or two and play through the Stormfront. It's an amazing little game. For Warhammer fans especially, but all the fans of old arcade games with gore and all that stuff, yeah, you definitely can enjoy it as well. As you can see, the graphics are very minimalistic. Once you die in a level, there are no continues or anything, you just restart the level from the start. So it is very arcadey, and overall it is something I can imagine in arcade cabinet in the 80s once again, or in the early 90s. Like, insert coin, and once you die, insert another coin. Pure arcade experience. Something retro gamers can enjoy. By the way, as you can see, that mortar did not help us, and we still died. So once again we start with the machine gun. The ending is kind of a cliffhanger, but it leaves us with the hope that one day, perhaps, the developer of the game, Sebastian Andrade, I suppose so, Sebastian Andrade, yeah, I probably butchered his name, pardon me for that, but still, it leaves us with the hope that one day this guy will give us a second part. I will definitely expect it, I will definitely wait for it, because this is an amazing evening for its price, something most of the modern games really can't provide you. Perhaps some of the kids nowadays, yeah, well, I guess I'm pretty old by now, but perhaps they just cannot understand this kind of a gaming, and this is a shame because I really dig it. I still dig it a lot. This is kind of a gaming which really appeals to me. The art style is amazing, something you could see back in the days in Contra and other works. I really only know one big name in this kind of art style, and the name is Giger, you know. His art is something special. Unfortunately, I don't know any other names. I've never digged into it, even though I really want to find some time to know more artists which drew all this crazy stuff. Something that just mind-boggling and at the same time very carnal, primitive, and you can see familiar shapes in a very, and what's very kind of not ordinate monster, you know. It's combining something that you can see every day with something very disgusting. It's something special, you know. It's biologically technological nightmare. Oh man, yeah. So this is kind of an art that is also not that popular nowadays, and I really want to see more of it. So yeah, once again, I will definitely hope for another Stormfront 2. Pretty please, I need it. Kinda sad that this game haven't got much videos online, and said videos do not have much views because the game is amazing. The game is truly amazing. Definitely deserves all the views and all the videos out there. It definitely deserves more time online, more place in the internet, so to say. And well, this is pretty much it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a commentary about Warhammer 40k or about the gameplay. I really would love to talk more about Warhammer 40,000, and comments would allow me to express my thoughts clearer, because when I write I have the time to think about it, unlike when I talk with my microphone. So yeah, leave a comment, I would be happy to reply. Thanks for being with me, cats. Stay tuned for more, and good luck!